Hi, everyone. I have a question for you. How the heck is it the end of May already? June is happening next week. It's time for summer vacations and school breaks. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this year is speeding by like lightning speed. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Fiend Brandt. I'm the co-host of this WOW Summit. I'm going to bring on some fantastic women in just a little bit, but we have some questions for you. Have you been looking for a new career path? A lot happened last year with 2020. Jobs were lost, markets changed. People that had corporate jobs and were still employed had to leave their corporate jobs to take care of their children and Zoom rooms for school. So much has changed in the job market, and it's still changing. And so for those of you that have worked in corporate at an office, are you going back to that office, or are you done with that and looking for a new opportunity? We'd love for you to hit the share button right there. Broadcast this out, because we're going to be talking to you about a new career path, a new plan where you can own your own business and yet have the support of a wonderful team and an organization behind you. Hawley and her colleagues are on a mission to help serve 20 women, to mentor them and get them up and running in this wonderful career opportunity where you're in charge of your hours and how much you make. You can go to your kids' performances at school or the soccer game. Isn't that how life should be? There shouldn't be a battle between being a parent and being a professional, right? Can I get a high five on that one? You know, I've known Hawley for 5 years. We've been each other's clients. I'm here to MC, produce, and co-host this online summit of hers. I'm a client of hers. I've trusted my money to her. Now, there's a couple things. Those of you who know me know, A, I don't refer people unless I know them and have worked with them. And I don't hand my money over very easily. Hawley can tell you about the story about it probably took her like a year to get me to move my money over to Appreciation Financial, or even longer. But she never gave up. I listened. She held my hand. She told me the facts over and over, answered all of my questions until I felt comfortable. That's what I love about Hawley. I trust her. She's knowledgeable. She's fun to work with. She's a great friend, a great mother, and a great boss and leader. So let's get Hawley up here on stage.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Hawley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I have a new title.
What's your new title?
Grandma.
Grandma!
We're going with Granty because, you know, it's my nephew who had his baby. So Bobby and I raised Adrian. He moved in with us when he was 11, and he got married last October. And Matthew Rodriguez was born on May 18th.
Well, congratulations. Grandma is the best title you could ever have. It outweighs president, CEO, owner, founder, every other title, right?
Well, and I'm so happy that I'm in a career where I have my own business, where I can drop everything when I get the call. I was actually on the airplane going out to Las Vegas to do a walkthrough on our house, and I got a call from my daughter-in-law, and she said, "I'm wrong. I need your help." I thought I didn't need you to come. She could barely finish a sentence. She was crying so hard. So I'm like, well, let me see what I can do. So fortunately, I have the flexibility to hop on a red eye on Thursday night, arrive at, 10 a.m. on Friday out to Norfolk, Virginia, and spend a few days helping them catch up on sleep and get into a little bit of a rhythm so that they can be new parents, figure out what
That's
it's
awesome.
like.
Isn't it nice not to ask a boss like, hey, I got a family thing I need to go do, or I need to, someone's in the hospital, someone just had a baby. Isn't it nice to be able to just be like, yeah, I'll be right there, however many hours
and
later.
The other thing that's really nice is what's really nice is to not have to worry about buying same day tickets. I mean, those aren't cheap. So, knowing that you're going to drop $1,000 on a ticket in a day to get out to go see a loved one, Even though I did ask if there was a discount. I asked if there was a discount. Like if there's
Always
a
ask for a
bereavement, is there a birth discount? There's a
Is there a
bereavement
coupon?
one.
Is there a discount? Is there a grandma discount? I mean, always ask for that stuff. I just want to give a big shout out to Peter. Peter is joining us over on LinkedIn. He said it's because everything is happening. I think that you're talking about the career path, Peter, of, things are changing so much. Even though it's a year later, Hawley, I feel like the job market is still shifting and changing. It hasn't solidified. It hasn't, found its new normal. So I think what you're going to be sharing and what your colleagues are going to be sharing is still a great opportunity because we haven't seen the fallout. People think, oh, we're through the worst. We're through the worst part of maybe people getting sick, but financially, we haven't seen the fallout of the pandemic. Would you agree?
I definitely agree. I was actually on a market update last week, and with National Life Group, one of their key financial people was going over some of the things that are happening. And right now, the biggest concern for most people is inflation. There's going to be complete markets that are going to be changed when interest rates go up. There's going to be complete industries that are shifted when things like inflation hit. So there are some changes coming in the horizon, and there's also more stimulus money that's been being talked about being pumped into the economy. Now, back in 2008, when we had the recession, there was stimulus money that was given. However, it was small compared to what has been pumped into our economy over the last, 12 to 14 months. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, what jobs no longer exist. I mean, think about it. We used to go to a store and rent movies at Blockbuster, where now all you got to do is press your on-demand button and you're watching a brand new movie. Part of that is because of the pandemic, right? I mean, like Disney's releasing a new movie, you can get it on the Disney Channel on Friday. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, entire industries have changed overnight, and I definitely don't think we're through the weeds economically yet. I'm not an expert. I don't watch the markets. I don't really have to do that. The market that we serve and the products that we provide allows us the peace of mind of knowing that our clients aren't losing any money, whether the markets are up or down. They're safe. However, it is interesting to really keep an eye on what's happening, because it is going to determine a lot of things in our business as far as, being able to provide these awesome products and to support the market that we serve, which are educators.
And I love that you serve the educators because, my background is working in the Bishop School and Francis Parker. And I think that you served Francis Parker while I was there. That was like one of the schools. And I love the education. Like, that's my thing. If I had to go back to a job, it'd be in education, but it'd be knowing what I know with your company now. So, I could be a
come on, Mary. At the end of this, you're going to be saying, am I going to be with Appreciation Financial year from now? Am I going to be educating the educators?
Oh, wait, now that you say it like that. So if you guys have seen any of these summits, and we do them like every month, every 2 months, the joke is, Hawley, one day I'm going to join your team because everyone is so awesome. Like not only just the leadership, but the women, the stories that I've heard, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm like this. It's going to happen one day. And to think that I can go back into education, into those organizations and serve those teachers and educators, that's a win-win for me. So
absolutely.
I love the work that you guys do. But you know what? Let's get your first guest on stage so she can share her story. But I do want to say one thing before we get started. There's two things. So 2 questions that we get asked is this only for people that are retired? Do they have to be right out of college? Do I have to be good with money, Hawley? Do I have to be good with money and numbers?
So actually, you don't have to have any qualifications other than a state license. We do require you to be able to talk to people, to get on Zoom calls, to be able to read and write, of course. However, most everything else we can teach you. As far as like our numbers part of it, there's calculators and illustrations for that. There's companies that help us run those illustrations. So no, you don't have to be good in math or good with numbers. However, what I will say is if you're not good with your money or you're not good in math, being a part of an organization like Appreciation Financial or a company in the insurance and financial services market will support you in getting more financially savvy.
So you're going to help people and help yourself at the same time. That's a big win in my book. Well, let's bring up our first speaker, which is Elena Templeton, right? Let's get her up.
Yes, Elena. Hi, the newlywed. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. I gotcha.
Audio working or not?
Yes.
Okay, well, audio working. Hey, so I am unable to hear you, Hawley. I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, it must be on your end.
Let me figure
Mary
it out
can hear
real
me.
quick.
I believe.
I can hear you, Hawley. It could be your output, Elena. You can take off if you need to take off the earbuds and let's see if that works for you. Gotta love technology, folks, right? This is live. There's no hiding any technology issues when you go live.
Well, let me tell you. Can you hear us now? She can't hear us. Okay.
So,
let me tell you a little bit about Elena's story while she figures some things out. Maybe take Elena down and she can give Allie a call and they can work through it. So Elena's dad was my client for many years. I think when I first met Elena, she was a senior in high school or maybe going into her senior year. And I'd been working with her dad. He's been a teacher at Torrey Pines High School down in San Diego for a number of years. In fact, he's retiring this week, maybe, or maybe in a couple days next week. Anyway, he's retiring this year, so that's super exciting. He's been set up to completely win with his retirement. He has a great plan in place, and he's going to most likely be making more money in retirement than he was making while he's working, so that's always a plus. Anyway, it was really great for me to meet Elena when she was in high school. She's an athlete. She played field hockey at William & Mary out in Virginia. And when she was getting ready to graduate, her family was going on a vacation down to Cabo San Lucas. I think it was Cabo. Yeah, Cabo San Lucas. And we actually had a company trip at the same exact time that they were going to be there. So they came and met up at our resort. I had an opportunity to take her and her mom. They went and got massages, her dad and her brother and her fiance at the time, or he might have just been a boyfriend at the time, went and played golf. They had a great time. And when they came back, Elena wanted to find out more about what I do. And from there, her dad asked me if I had any internships available. And I had never really had an internship program available. However, I created one. We figured it out. And we're able to bring her on board. So she may or may not be coming up next. But what we can do, Mary, if you want to come back on the screen, is we can key up Carrie, and then we can bring on Elena after we bring up Carrie.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little bit about Carrie.
Let's bring up Carrie, and we are working backstage on getting Elena all fixed. So I'm going to bring Carrie up.
Hi, Carrie. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Holly? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and you can hear me, right?
Yep. You're good to go.
For a live show, I love it.
That's right.
All right. Well, first of all, I always just like to give a little bit of a history on how, you and I met. Obviously, we met through working in the insurance industry here at Appreciation Financial. And I believe we really met through Lisa Ryerson in the very beginning. So Lisa and I and Krista founded Women of Wealth. We used to do these retreats. We'd have these calls. And there was some sort of training that we were both at, Carrie, and I remember meeting you. And I was just struck by how you're so friendly and you're just such a great person to be in a relationship with because you just care so much about people. And I just always admire that about you. So why don't you share with the audience a little bit about how you got started in the insurance industry and how you found yourself at Appreciation Financial?
Right. Well, thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. So before I came to Appreciation Financial, I was with another life insurance company where we focused solely on life insurance. We did not have the retirement aspects. So we spent a lot of time having very, in-depth conversations about preparing for, death and protecting the family and, sitting at the table with the family and interacting with all those family members that wanted to be present, and we would get invited to family picnics and, building those trusting relationships. And I was actually, somewhat blessed to have experienced something early in my life insurance career that really made it evident to me how important our role is in building a trusting relationship with people. And I was happy to leave just selling life insurance and helping people understand the different forms of life insurance and going more into not solely life insurance, but more into preparing for retirement, as well as preparing the family and the assets around life insurance. So I've done some of both. I really do enjoy the aspect of getting to know someone in a very intimate way, and having a trusting relationship, because as an agent, if something does happen to the family, I don't think a lot of people understand that if you build a trusting relationship with your clients and they're in need, whether it's financial crisis or the loss of a job, or God forbid, the loss of a loved one, you are going to be the first one called after they call the family. And I experienced that very early in my career, and it changed my life. I mean, it did. It made it very evident to me that building a trusting relationship was hugely important, and that it was needed. That I would have wanted that myself.
Yeah, definitely. It does do something for you when you have to deliver a death benefit, when you have somebody that, you've been able to protect. It's almost equally as challenged when you talk to somebody and you talk to them about life insurance and then they didn't get it, and for some reason something happens too. I've had both experiences now that I've been doing this for almost 10 years. It's like, it's terrible to deliver the death benefit. However, the benefit of that is that the family can mourn and they don't have to worry about money. Where on the other example is somebody didn't protect themselves, and then you're delivering a check, and we still deliver checks to people, but instead of delivering a death benefit where they can really mourn the loss of whoever they lost, they are still looking at, okay, this is only enough money to get me through X amount of time. So,
right.
It's easy to get intimate with people right away when you do what we do, because we do talk to them about, like, who's your beneficiary. I talk to parents all the time, and I'm doing their beneficiary, and they want to put like their 6-year-old as their beneficiary. And I have to explain to them why that's not a good idea,
Right.
And sometimes it's the first time they've had that conversation of what would happen if we're together and we die, who would take care of our child?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I always tell people it's, the last thing people want to be dealing with is emotional and financial turmoil at the same time. We can't bring back someone's loved ones, but we can obviously help with the financial blow of both of those two things happening. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the other great thing that I was mentioning when I first got on here about how I was able to drop everything last week, go out and meet my new grandbaby and all that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit about the flexibility and the liberty you've been able to create as a result of this business with some of your other passions, because I know you love helping people. However, I know you have some other passions as well. So share with the audience about that.
I do. So I actually have a fine art degree, and I do really enjoy, I have a teaching background. I was an art teacher, a 5th and 6th grade art teacher, and then I taught at the college level with young kids. And it's been very rewarding to be able to, have an opportunity to go teach a workshop and have the flexibility, again, like Hawley said earlier, not to have to ask a boss just to schedule myself out. For instance, my son is coming into town today. I haven't seen him in almost a year and a half, 2 years almost. And I'm taking a week and a half off just because I can. And I can be present with him and not worry about that. And that flexibility, I think, even when my children were young and I was in sales jobs, I didn't have that same flexibility. And I would have loved that, to be able to even be more present with them and the other hobbies that I have, and health coaching people. So it's been, that piece has been really a gift, to have the flexibility, to work hard and also be able to play hard as well.
So when we were talking earlier today, we were talking a little bit about how, things have changed in our business, things ebb and flow a little bit. And with this whole pandemic, we were really busy during last year when things first happened. And now things have slowed down a little bit. What are you seeing in your area? Now you're in Washington. So what are you seeing up in Washington that you think is a little bit of a trend that's happening? Like some people are getting ready to get out of school, so it might be a great time for you to take a week and a half to spend some time with your son, right? But what would you say some of the things that you're seeing out in the field as far as people making decisions with their money and whatnot?
Well, I would say based on the climate in general with what's happening in the world, not just in Washington. Of course, every state is a little bit different, but, people are, a little bit, I would say, overwhelmed, overstimulated by the responsibilities, I think by all of the changes that have occurred in all of our lives the last 15 months. And so what I'm seeing is, as teachers move into summer, they're going to be able to regroup. And I think they've been so overwhelmed during this time. They're kind of pushing that out. And our schools go a little bit later on this side of the country. So they're in school until the middle of June. So my understanding is that people are really going to be more open to meeting because they're going to be able to catch their breath. They're going to be able to kind of regroup. And I think, with our job, you can't, with what we do in the career path that we're on, where we're servicing people, we have to remind ourselves to be human and to really empathize with where these teachers have been, the level of responsibilities they've had, and I always remind people when I'm training them, be human, right? Our teachers have been our heroes. They have been through so much this year. I do have more teachers reaching out to me, seeking retirement information because they are kind of done, because of what's happened. But I expect that, as our business ebbs and flows, this summer is going to get much busier because they will have some downtime. They will have a chance to reflect and they'll want new information. So
for sure. Yeah. And I mean, the thing about our business that has changed overnight is we used to be kneecap to kneecap with our clients. We would be on the school campuses. We would visit them in their classroom mostly. And then we went to this virtual environment. And although I think the teachers enjoy meeting with us virtually, I think they're going to enjoy it more when we can get back to being face to face.
Absolutely. I mean, there's only so much body language and connection you can have through a computer screen, even for our young kids, right? It's very different being in person and having a presence on the campus and being able to, do give back programs within our schools. I would go into my schools. I've done a couple murals in my schools for different teachers and staff members that are clients of mine, and loved every minute of being able to volunteer, that artistic part of me back into my schools and that time, and to be able to do that again would be great. We actually just did a service project middle of April at one of the schools right before they were getting ready to go back on campus. It was right before Earth Day. So we helped them replant their garden, build some new pots. We did like a little rock garden. We put up some peace poles. We built some buddy benches, and we did it on a Saturday. So it was like nobody else was on campus except for us and the principal and a custodian. And so we were able to do a give back program. And then when the kids came on campus, they were able to see that we were able to pour a little love into their school. So, I mean, those are things that I look forward to getting back to as well, because of course, giving back is one of the big things that we do. Tell me a little bit more about what you have accomplished in your career to this point. Well, within the time that I've been at Appreciation Financial, I have earned the most money that I have made so far in my professional career. And that's been really exciting. And that exceeded what I thought I could make. Initially, I was a single mom when I first got my life insurance license. I was raising 2 young children that are now grown in college. And so I never saw myself making over $100,000 a year. I didn't even know that was going to be possible, along with having the capability and flexibility of knowing when to take time down and when to have that flexibility and when to work. And so that's been really exciting. It's given my children an opportunity to see me go from literally one extreme lifestyle to another. And so that's been such a blessing. And I've been part of the 100K Club earners every year, except that first year that I was part of appreciation. And that's been really exciting. It's been good. And I know that moving forward, our business has seasons, and it does change based on the school year and what's going on in the world and all of that. So I expect there'll be more of that. And the nice thing about that is within appreciation, as you find the right teammates to help train, you get to help change their lifestyle as well. So I'm looking forward to attracting the right kind of people that want to train with me and really build long-term relationships with clients. Really, we're building friendships, like you and Mary. A lot of our clients become actually good friends, which I love.
That's true. Well, and I mean, our agents that we have on our team, whether you're on someone's team or you're a sideline to each other, we have incredible relationships there as well. We always talk about appreciation being a family. And I really do feel like I have some of those relationships. Like, I've known Donna for many years. I mean, I treat Elena like she's not necessarily my daughter. However, I treat her like she's definitely a younger sister or something like that, where we make sure that we take care of the people that we are surrounding ourselves with. So, well, thank you so much, Carrie. I'm going to bring you back up at the end, and we'll have one final question talking about some of the mantras and whatnot. So, but thank you. Is there anything else you want to share before we move on that I maybe didn't ask you?
I don't think so, other than just maybe letting people know, if you're looking for something that is flexible, that you can actually put your own personality into, which I think is huge when you come to a sales and service job. We're not looking for cookie cutter at appreciation. I really feel like you can be who you are. All of my clients know that I have a fine art degree and I'm in finance. They all think that's just fascinating, So I don't have to not be myself. And I love that about this. I think that we are encouraged in life when we're young to be ourselves. And then we grow up and we get into a job and we're suddenly supposed to kind of be something else, And I think that that's something that's very celebrated with the Women of Wealth, is for us to, really celebrate our strengths and be ourselves.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up too, because, I think we talked about this a few summits ago. Women have been hit really hard during this pandemic. We've had to wear so many different hats. I found out for sure I am not a teacher of elementary school level kids because I have an 8-year-old. And every day when he was on, he didn't have to do distance learning for very long, thank God, because he was crying every day. His teacher didn't see him, all this stuff. And so not only was I being mom, I was being the teacher, then I'm drying his tears, and then I'm being his counselor, like, come on, let's get going, like making sure his mental health as well. Then I was his playmate because he couldn't play with any of his friends. So definitely, I know for me, having all of those roles, that it is really nice to be able to find something that you can do that fits your personality, where you can use your strengths, whether that is having a fine arts degree and then being in finance, or, like I have a background in sports and bringing those attributes as well to the job. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out. That's a really great point. We have all different people who come to appreciation for different reasons. And that's definitely one of the things that I love about the company is we have so many, like we don't have the staunchy kind of typical idea of what you look at like whenever you're looking at insurance or financial services.
Absolutely. And that's refreshing, even to our clients. They comment on that for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Carrie. I'll bring you back up afterwards. Mary, you want to come back up? And
I do. So I loved what Carrie said, because so many times in life, like you get a job and it's a great job. You love the tasks that you're doing, but the company's not a good fit because they want you to be cookie cutter. And so I really like that with Appreciation Financial. You're just looking for good people. You don't have to be a stuffy person, that business suit. That's probably why I went with you. Besides, I know you, right? I want to work with a woman with my finances. I don't want to work with a man. And I'm sorry, I just don't. I want to work with a woman, a businesswoman that understands what I'm building, what I've been going through, and that I can have a regular conversation with. Let me put that out there. The most important thing, Hawley, is that I could just talk to you and I didn't feel dumb. You never questioned any of my questions. Like you never said, well, Mary, that's in the documents. Mary, I've already told you that. You never did that. When I asked the same question or a question in a roundabout manner, you just explained it to me again because you understand this is not my wheelhouse. I don't understand this financial stuff and I needed it to be explained in a way where I felt comfortable. So you did that for me. Thank you.
Well, and Mary didn't share that I also got an opportunity to speak with her father and her dad because, you know, I mean, that's what we do is we bring the people we trust the most into these big decisions. Yeah. And her dad just said, you need to go with her because she knows what she's talking about. So I love that I got to meet your dad and he was so funny.
You got his stamp of approval, which is hard to get, by the way. He does not freely hand that out. But yes, I was telling my dad, because he's the one who's been on me, get that long-term healthcare, you know, long-term plan, blah, blah. Okay. And we started talking about it. And I was just like, oh my God, my head's exploding, right? And there was a lot of other things going on in my life at the time. And so you were like, well, Mary, I'll get on a Zoom call with you and your dad. I was like, really? And you're like, yeah. So we got on that Zoom call and he was like, she knows her stuff. Go with her. And so, you know, it was funny. Yes, I'm a grown woman, but I still wanted my dad's opinion because it was financial matters and it wasn't a cup of tea at the beginning. So Elena's having some computer issues. And so we're going to bring Donna up next while we continue to troubleshoot in the green room. Let's get Donna.
Good. So Donna, she's been with us for many years now. I've known Donna for quite a few years, and I'll let her introduce herself. However, she is one of our leaders here, and she is on my team as well. Carrie's on a sideline team, so you can see that we all really work together well. And that's one of the things that I love about Women of Wealth is that we are always encouraging more women to take a look at this opportunity. So welcome, Donna. Thank you for being here.
Great
so
to be
tell
here.
us, tell the audience a little bit about how you got into the insurance industry and how you found Appreciation Financial.
Sure. Well, let me start by saying I never in a million years thought I would be in the financial services industry. My background is, first of all, in corporate America. I had worked in human services, so recruiting, temporary help, things like that for many years. I had been in an accounting kind of position, more customer service types of things, but still in that, in a property management company. So I remember, it's so funny, Hawley, that you said, you know, the battle between being a parent and being, you know, a working professional. I remember those days of having young kids. And what do you do when your kids get sick? I didn't have anyone to leave him with. I remember having to bring my daughter sick as a dog to work and like lay her on the floor and hope no one was going to say anything, being in traffic. And, you know, you have 5 minutes until it's time to pick them up at daycare and there's traffic and it's like, it sucks. So all of that kind of stuff I grew up with. I mean, and it wasn't fun. I just didn't know there was an alternative. So I got tired of the corporate world and switched to a nonprofit type of career. And that was really, really, what do I want to say? It really fed my soul because I was helping people in different ways. I did fundraising. So a lot of the programs weren't going to happen if I didn't make sure that the money came in to support those programs. And that was great. And it gave me a lot of insight into some of the struggles that people have. I hadn't seen that in the corporate world. And so now when I was introduced to Appreciation Financial, let me just be really honest. So I heard about Appreciation Financial probably a couple of years before I actually was introduced and could even think about coming in. And it was not at all, I didn't know what it was. I just thought, oh, this sounds kind of weird. And no, I'm not interested at all. Well, I didn't take the time to really look and see what it was all about. When I had the opportunity to do that, it made all the sense in the world. And as I look back, everything I've ever done in my career is something that I can use in what I do every day. So I really feel grateful that I have this opportunity.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was thinking the same thing when you were talking through what you've done in the past. And I've heard your story a number of times before. However, it is that, you know, being able to do the human resource side or the human, capital side, and then also really being able to figure out how to put that plan together. So I think I can guess this one, however you share with us some of the things that you love about appreciation, and tell us about some of the accolades that you've achieved here since you've been with appreciation.
So again, what I love the most is really helping people in a way that is going to affect their future. And I go back to it. I've mentioned this story before, but in my work in nonprofits, I worked for a time, excuse me, with very low income seniors. And those seniors were not 80 years old. Those were like 60-year-olds who had counted on Social Security being enough to survive. And so I saw what happens when you're not prepared, no fault of their own. No one told them. And I was kind of in that situation too, honestly. Mary, as you were talking about, I really want to work with a woman. We had a guy at one of my companies that did the retirement plans, and I didn't talk to him. I did not want to talk to him for like 3 years. And I was raising kids and there were bills, and I didn't save the way I could have or should have for retirement, but there was no one to tell me to do that. So I'm really committed now to making sure that people know what their choices are and that they're set up, like Hawley said, they're set up to win. We don't want anyone in a position where they have to live a life other than what they want or be a burden rather than a blessing to their families. That's huge. That's really my why.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, we have a pretty sophisticated, and it's changed over the years, training program and onboarding process. So could you talk a little bit about that and share with the folks your experience of our onboarding and training?
So are you talking about before or now? Actually, my onboarding was really fun because I just was out in the field on day one. Now we're virtual. However, you can still be out in the field on day one with a trainer. So that's what I love, is that there is someone there to figuratively hold your hand and show you the ropes. And there's never a time, well, there might be a time, but there's usually not a time when you're just, thrown out there. I mean, at some point when your trainer feels like you're ready, they're going to let you fly. And there are so many resources. It's really for the person who is committed to doing this. The sky's the limit, and there's all the resources in the world. Conversely, if you're that person that wants to be fed everything, you're going to have trouble.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, right? It's like Appreciation Financial isn't for everyone. So it's for people who want to build a business within a business, and they want to help people, and they want to create life-changing wealth and really be able to support others in doing the same. I know for me, the most rewarding part for me is watching people like you and others on my team create a successful business and then share it with other people within your sphere of influence. So if you had somebody that was out there looking for a new opportunity, why would you suggest they take a closer look at Appreciation Financial?
Appreciation Financial really is a great opportunity for anyone. And I think that for me is the most important. Whether you're just out of college and looking for a career, or even just a stepping stone into something, Appreciation Financial can be that. It's a growing industry. We're not going anywhere. There's always going to be people that need help with planning for retirement. There's unlimited income. There's time freedom. On the other side of that, if you're a parent and you've got small kids, or you're just dealing with stuff, you can still make this work in the hours that you can. And then when your kids go off to college, or maybe they're just older, you can like turbocharge this again. And then if you're like me, you were kind of at the back end of a career going, well, I can't retire yet. However, I don't want to work in a job anymore and have people, telling me what to do and having to be in an office. This will work for you as well. Again, unlimited income, time freedom, residuals, so that you have something that you're building no matter what. There's never a time when someone's going to say, you're too old for this, you're too young for this, you're too whatever. You can make this work. And so that's what I think is the most exciting.
Yeah, and it's interesting, while you're talking, I was just thinking about the different things in your life that's happened over the last 4 or 5 years where you've had to have some flexibility, and You're on the other side of it where it wasn't raising kids anymore. Your kids were grown, and there may have been some times where you were watching grandkids or something like that. But even taking care of your parents, you know, and helping them through their journey, right? I mean, you've been able to really have a flexible schedule to take off a couple weeks if you needed to. So I know that is something that not only have I expressed as a mom with a young kid, or, you know, now a new grandmother, being able to drop everything and just go out, hold that little baby. They just smell, just the smell of babies. I'm regressing anyway. So, you know, so with appreciation, I know you've had those opportunities to really be able to take that time that you've needed. And as far as some of the things that you've accomplished with appreciation, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, you know, much like Carrie said, you know, I have been able to make more money than I thought possible. And I don't say that to brag at all. It's just to say, wow, this works. I have also been on the 100K trip, been, you know, on the leaderboard, you know, as far as income in certain months. Again, that's great. And there are many people that's a driver in their career. And I don't hold anything against people like that. Having money is great. It makes the world go round. For me, where I really get that juice is in helping people. When my clients call me and go, hey, I need your help with this, or it's a life-changing event for them in a good way, or unfortunately in a bad way, and I'm there for them, it's so satisfying to me. So this is just the perfect blend. It's like, wait, I get to do all this and you're going to pay me too? That's cool.
And you also get to give more, right? When you make more money, you can give more. And I know that's a big deal for you.
That's a huge thing for me. And I've been able to do that, funding some new projects that are very important to me. And again, as you said, just being there for family, being there for kids, grandkids, and my grand dog now. That's pretty exciting. When you were talking about how they smell, he came to mind. I'm like, no, that's not the same thing.
Definitely not the same thing.
But it's fun, and you know, it's just that human factor. I was talking to a client one day, I just real quick, and all of a sudden my grand dog was over. I was dog sitting, and I hear all this noise downstairs, and I'm like, this is not good. So I'm like, excuse me, I have to run, and it's just like, cool. Where can you do that in a business meeting and say, well, gotta run and do something else? And our clients just, you know, it's just that human factor, and it's really fun to work in.
Yeah, I mean, I put a new rule in place that Jackson can interrupt me anytime that I'm on a Zoom call, because, you know, I'm working from home. And so when he's home, if he needs me, like before he goes to school, you've seen him come in and give me a kiss goodbye. I don't know how many times when we've been on meetings. So that's something that I definitely want to make sure that he has the opportunity to know that there's never going to be a time where he's not able to interrupt me. I don't believe that there's any meeting that can be that. Now, if he comes in and he starts gibbering or something, and then I'm like, get out, you got to go.
Yeah, you know, that's important.
Yeah, I mean, that's important that I can do that. And it makes me more real to my clients as well. They're like, oh, look, there's Jackson. Like a lot of my clients remember when I was pregnant with them. So they're like, oh, we finally get to see him now.
Yeah.
So what did I not ask you that you wanted to share today? Anything?
You know, I would say if anyone is watching this and thinking, I wonder, I would say get your questions answered, because I didn't for so long. And that's probably 2 years that I lost and could have been helping more people or helping myself. So don't wait like I did. Just get your questions answered. Check it out. We would love to talk to you and share a little bit more.
Great. Well, I appreciate you being on today. Donna, I'm going to have you go backstage. We're going to bring Elena on, and then I'll bring the three of you guys back together at the end, and we'll have a wrap-up question.
Okay, so we're going to bring Elena on. We think that we got all the tech issues worked out. So everyone that's watching us, let's give it a try. Elena, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to hit the reset button, right?
That's all. I tell my clients that all the time. Just Google it, just restart. They think I'm a tech wizard. I'm supposed to be the young gun who knows tech. And here I am, the one person in this call who couldn't get the audio figured out. So
it wasn't you. You literally had to hit the reset button. It happens all the time. So don't worry. you're here and we can't wait to hear your story. So Hawley, I'm going to leave. I'm let you two talk.
So just as I had mentioned in the beginning, I was sharing your story a little bit, Elena, but why don't we hear it from you? How did you find Appreciation Financial?
Yeah, it's so funny. I knew that we were gonna have this conversation between me and Hawley, and how I found Appreciation is through Hawley. So she knows the whole story, but of course I want to share it with everybody. I came to Appreciation Financial through a unique way. Most people that I do meet in Appreciation, though, do come to Appreciation because of a friend or a family member. So it is similar in that way. I was in college. I was studying economics and kinesiology at the College of William and Mary. I was also playing field hockey there. And in the summer, I was home, and my dad had a annual review with his agent, Hawley Woods Gray. And my dad is a teacher at a school that I even went to high school at. And he said to me, Elena, this would be a really great opportunity for you to sit in this meeting and see what a STEM degree might look like in the real world and what kind of career you might want to pursue. And I said, okay, sounds good. And I sat in that meeting, and it was funny, I sat there and said, okay, I'm an economics major. I could probably know what's going on here. I didn't know what was going on. And that really is a testament to say that you can learn this business without having a STEM background. And not necessarily, I would say that my STEM background gave me a little bit of an edge in certain areas, but I learned everything from the ground up. And so honestly, if you're willing to learn, you can learn from the ground up and be really successful. But continuing on the story, I met Hawley. I knew she was also she was a student athlete as well in college, and so I had that in common with her. She had a similar demeanor to me, and I thought, man, this kind of sounds like a great gig. She's helping teachers. You just hear it all the time. Me being in a teacher's family, there's not many people looking out for teachers. Teachers are in charge of looking out for everybody. Nobody's got their back. So then I ran into her in where? Cabo San Lucas. We were on a family trip. She's on a work trip. And I said, whoa, your company gives you the opportunity to go to Cabo San Lucas, and you're helping a niche market that is underserved. Get me involved. And she said, okay, that sounds great. When you graduate, we're going to do a 3-month internship. And Hawley, because of her, what she's made in appreciation for herself, was able to hire me as an intern for the summer and give me a wage while I learned what this business was and whether or not I wanted to join. And I said, this is for me. I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to be accountable, and I'm coachable. And then I was able to be successful. And that's how I came into Appreciation. And now my dad is also an Appreciation AF Light, and he loves it. And he is also my worst, but my best client. Bothers me every week with stuff, man.
Well, he is getting ready to retire, right?
He is.
Did that happen this week?
Yes. It's happening in 2 or 3 weeks. And he's got all these plans. He goes, oh, should I do this, that, and the other? And I said, you know what? You're licensed. You figure it out. And then
that's great. Well, let him know that if he's having a retirement party, I'll bring some cake.
Okay. Awesome.
Definitely. All right. Well, tell me a little bit more about the onboarding process and the training process. I mean, yours was a little bit different. However, you've brought on a few people and train them. So tell me a little bit about how that's been working out for you.
Yeah. So I am very involved in onboarding processes for new people. Also, my story is I was taken care of by Hawley for that summer. And then she said she wanted to make sure I was in good hands. And man, was I taken care of. Somebody who you guys have met in a previous WOW Summit, Tracy Beckhusen, was my trainer. And she was amazing because every step of the way, she challenged me, but then she had my back if I was going to fail. And that's what you need in this business. That's really it. Be willing to fall forward. And it was really probably for me coming out of college, my first career, I was with Tracy on a day-to-day basis for 1 to 2, probably 2 months. And then it was more, okay, let's get you out in the field on your own and fall forward. And I'm going to be here to support you on anything that you think that you need help on. And it was amazing. I loved working with Tracy. And ever since then, I realized how important it is not only to teach somebody this business, but also support them on a personal level. Something that was incredible about this team at Appreciation Financial, and something that's really nice to have women in financial services. You know, no mean feelings to guys, but women are just really great at being empathetic and sympathetic and giving you their maternal skills of, I can feel you and I'm here for you. And Tracy and Hawley were there for me in some of my darkest times in my own life. When I lost my mom 2 years ago, they were there for me personally and in business. And that was absolutely an incredible community that I knew I had it, but when you get tested in those times, oh my gosh, you just have no idea that you appreciate a culture in your work so much more when you have that personal connection and that business connection. And I've been trying to give that to every trainee that I've worked with, and they feel me on a personal level. And I enjoy it more because I care about them personally.
Absolutely. I mean, you're bringing tears to my eyes because I'm thinking back to those times, you know, I mean, we all had, you know, we talked about the ebbs and flow in business. We have ebbs and flow in life. Again, the flexibility of being in a place where you don't have to work full time because you are taking care of family stuff, whether that be a loss or it just be, you know, something else that's happening. I mean, you also got married during this time too. So, you know, there's, you know, I talk about a time a few years back when I was going on the journey of getting to my managing vice president promotion. And it was some of the most joyous times in my life. And it was also some of the hardest times because my sister had been diagnosed with breast cancer and I was her number one support to go with her to her chemo and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like, I'd have these days where I'd be crying over here personally, and then I'd be thriving over here business-wise. And it was just so like having to wear these different hats all the time. And I just think that, you know, my level of respect for women to be able to do that, to have those moments. Because I mean, in some ways you're taking care of your dad, you're taking care of your brother, you know, you were being the strong one. And so I'm happy that I could be a place where you could be felt and heard and needed what you needed, you know. I think we all need that. And I'm glad that we do have so many women in Appreciation Financial because I think we can be that for each other. So tell me a little bit more about what you love about what you do.
What I love about it, in speaking in the same wavelength of what we were just talking about, I think a lot of women are hesitant to be in financial services because it doesn't feel like there's room to be vulnerable. And honestly, one of my greatest skills that I can bring to this job is being vulnerable. And by being vulnerable, I've learned that I understand what it's like to be in the position of what do my finances look like? That's a hard conversation to have with yourself. And it gives you perspective on when I'm working with people, they're being vulnerable and they're giving themselves to you and they're trusting you. And I take that trust very seriously. And I love the relationships I can build because of that level of trust. It's incredible. I have people who pray for me at night, like that, my clients, and then I also meet people that they're in tears because they're so thankful for my help. And honestly, part of the help in this business, part of what I like about it is that we are honest as well. If I can't help my client, which it doesn't happen very often, but if I can't help somebody and what they have in place already is best for them, I've been taught and I do practice that I let them know what you're doing right now is great. Also, I'm proud of you for having this, that, and the other. And it's a really great, just the relationship. We all say it, right? But our own experiences are really beneficial to hear it on that tangible level. What do you guys mean by relationship? And that's what I love about Appreciation.
Well, I mean, you know, having integrity in the financial services, being licensed and having all of the compliance that we have is one thing that does help. However, also the carriers that we work with, we have to go through what's called suitability. And there's a high level of accountability there. And I like that because, it does give us an opportunity to say, you know what, you're in a great product. I'm not able to help you. However, who else do you know that we might be able to help, right? Because just because they're in a great plan doesn't mean their neighbor on campus is. So that is just another reason why, we keep doing what we're doing. Now, if somebody was looking at taking a deeper dive at Appreciation Financial, what would you say to them, Elena?
I would say we talk about it all the time, and you'll hear it plenty of times if you join us, but be coachable, accountable, and hardworking, and take those 3 things very seriously. And there's no way that you can't be successful if you are coachable, accountable, and hardworking. And bring your heart to this business. Bring your mind. You are going to need that brain of yours. And that's what's, of course, going to help your clients figure out what the best solution is. But bring your heart, bring all of yourself. And no matter if you don't think you're good at speaking, if you bring your heart, people will see that. No matter if you don't think you're good at math, again, if you bring your heart, people will see that you're going to help them. I tell my trainees that it's not that you have the answer, it's that you're willing to find the answer for them. You can tell your 8 clients all the time, I don't have that answer, but I'm going to find it for you. And that, taking care of your clients, willing to bring your heart to this business, and then be coachable, accountable, hardworking, there is no way you can't be successful.
That's right. Yeah. And so one of the things that I love about that statement that you made is it does make you sometimes too smart on certain things, right? Because I've helped so many people retire now over the 10 years that I've been here that everybody calls me about CalSTRS and CalPERS stuff. So there's rarely anything that I don't know about the pension system. So it's a good problem and a bad problem to have, to become that expert. And at the same time, I only learned that because one of my clients had a challenge that they went through. And so we figured it out together. We made the phone calls, we asked the questions. And sometimes I ask too many questions to those agents. They don't want to give me that information. So anyway, Elena, is there anything else you want to share that I didn't ask you?
I really think I've covered every base. I just want people to know, I think that was such a great note that Donna said. Be willing to ask a question. If you've gotten any idea of who we are as people from this WOW Summit, we are not pushy. That's our whole job, is figuring out how to bob and weave with our clients. So don't be afraid to ask questions, because we're not going to push you into anything. We want this business to work for you. And if it does, that's going to be an amazing, life-changing event in your life.
Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring all the ladies back on. And I have one final question for everyone. I think Dawn already answered it, so I might have to ask her a different one. However, so we have 3 mantras. We help a lot of people. We create life-changing wealth. We get better every day. Actually, I think all 3 of you have probably answered this, so I'll ask it a little bit different. So, in the getting better every day part of it, what would you say the number one thing is for people to think about when they are looking for a new opportunity, about how it is going to take them to really focus on one new thing or getting better every day or something like that? Because we've talked about the life-changing wealth that you can create for yourself and for your clients. We've talked about helping a lot of people. Each one of you talked about helping people. However, the getting better every day part, it's like, for me, I know that the person that I am now is going to be create this level of success. However, for me to get to the next level, what does that look like? So for me, I do a lot of mentoring. I do some coaching. I not only have a coach, I also am a coach. And so what would you say, Carrie, what's one thing that you do to work on that getting better every day part?
Well, I would say a couple things, Hawley. I think especially the women of wealth within Appreciation Financial encourage that self-growth piece. And that comes from, sometimes it's self-love, right? Sometimes it's because as women, I think we pull back from that. And sometimes as we start to figure out, sometimes it's self-love, like give yourself 10 minutes a day in a book, or give yourself 10 minutes to do yoga, or a half an hour to meditate, or whatever it may be. But I think that when you have that self-care piece and that self-growth piece, which is encouraged, very much encouraged by especially the women within Appreciation Financial, It allows you to stretch. It encourages you to stretch, not in a painful way, but in this very supported way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it is a little painful. Like I always say to people, sometimes you got to have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough. I didn't make it up. I just repeat it from hearing it before. And sometimes it's painful to go through those breakdowns before you get to the breakthrough.
True.
Donna, what would you add to that piece?
Yeah, I totally agree with the self-care. And I think one of the things is to be flexible. So you've got to balance, and I know work-life balance is kind of overdone, but you really do need to balance. It can be easy in the beginning, anytime you're learning something new, to not even stop and look up or take a breath. And sometimes we just take ourselves way too seriously. So maybe what I'm trying to say is have some fun with it. Find ways to have fun. This is not, I mean, yes, finances are serious, but they're not boring and dull. You can have a lot of fun with this business, and you can have fun with your clients, and just have fun for yourself. That's some of the beauty of having your own business. You get to go have fun whenever you want. So that's what I would say.
That's really great. Elena, what do you have to add?
I'm actually, when you give us some questions about that, I honestly think that's my most passionate mantra, because it encompasses the others really well. If you're getting better every day, and it's about getting better in every piece of your life, right? If I'm working, like, think about it for me, and Hawley would like this too. If you're thinking about it in working out, if you're trying to work one muscle group, you're probably also hitting another muscle group, and you're probably getting overall stronger. And that's how it is in business and personal life too. If you're growing your personal life, you'll learn that some things from your personal life are actually growing you in your business life. And the more that I put energy into the things that I care about and listen to my little voice in my head, I care about this, I'm going to give some time to this. It ends up, I think it's taking me away from my business time, but it ends up helping me more in my business by having that, by attending to those pieces.
I totally agree with that. I mean, absolutely. I think that focusing, well, I have two things about this. So number one thing that I've learned over the years is when I think I'm in control, I'm very much fooled by that. So I've had to learn to let go, especially as my team has grown. I've had to learn to adapt to different personalities and different people who want to do things different ways, and just not really care about that. My husband used to always say, tell me what you want to get done. Don't tell me how to do it. Or tell me how to do it and it won't get done. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I want something done, I just need to tell him I'd like this done, and then be okay with however he does it. I learned that a lot when I was commuting, because I'd come home and I'd ask him like 20 questions about the kids, and he'd be like, they're alive, they're breathing, and they've been fed. Like, they're not starving, right? So chill, right? So I had to like figure that out. And then the other thing I think is that, like something that Donna said, just remind me that if you're not able to laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at, really? Because if you're not able to like if you take yourself way too serious, then it's definitely going to be a grind instead of being a joy. And I think that's the thing that we all need to remember, is that, whatever you do for a living can be a joy. It doesn't have to be a grind. So I just want to thank all of you ladies for taking the time, for being on the summit today.
Thank you.
It was so great. For those of you that are watching, we're going to put the slide up. Hi, Mary.
I learned so much. I always learn more every time that we have a new crew on, even though a couple you've been on before. I love hearing different viewpoints of the stories and different viewpoints of Appreciation Financial. So high five to all you ladies for sharing your stories. You're all amazing. And again, I'm just the co-host here, but I want to encourage everyone to reach out and connect with one of these women, just to connect, because they're smart and savvy. I'm not saying that you have to go hire them and work with them, but why don't you get them in your network? So if you're not ready now, at least you're going to start that relationship, because it's not like you're going to reach out to Elena and say, okay, I'm ready. You have to get to know each other, or maybe it's Carrie, or maybe it's Donna, or maybe it's Hawley, but why not just connect with them over on LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever you're watching from, and just, follow them, get some tips and some advice. At the worst, you're going to be smarter with your money. So that's my 2 cents. I'll be quiet now. Let me bring the slide up for everyone.
Yeah, take us away.
Did you know the disparity between men and women in the workplace goes much deeper than pay? While 66% of people are unfulfilled in their jobs, half are women that cite working in a negative environment. Only 6% of women earn $100,000 or more each year in income. It's easy to understand why women feel stressed out and underappreciated. My name is Hawley Woods Gray, and I'm the CEO of Women of Wealth and a managing vice president with Appreciation Financial. And I'm here to tell you, there's a way out. The past 10 years, I have developed and implemented a successful system that has worked for me and my team. This is not network marketing. This is insurance, specifically helping educators retire with dignity. I love teaching teachers how their pension works, providing solutions to help fill their income gap, and protecting their families. In 2020, my team was paid over $2.6 million in commission, an increase of $300,000 from the prior year. 16 people on my team earn $100,000 or more each year. 2 of those agents earn $50,000 in a month. Would that change your life? I bet it would. In fact, there is not much a $10,000 month will not fix. Every year, we have awesome award trips. My family has traveled to Hawaii, we cruised the Caribbean, we swam with the sharks in the Dominican, and cliff jumped in Jamaica. And oh yeah, I got to beat up on the boys in Cabo on the volleyball court. They challenged me. I want you to be the next person I get to celebrate with on an all-expense paid vacation. Let's chat. Click the link below, send me a message, and let's find out if Appreciation Financial is a fit for you. There's room at the top. I'll meet you there.
Okay, everyone. Well, that's it for today. We're going to be back next month with another summit, some more guests. So you guys connect with one of these women and just get to know them, because I'm sure they have some tips that can help you with your finances or with a new career path. So take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.